standing at the same edge of the deck, feeling the same icy sea breeze. Just as I hesitated whether to jump and end it all, a hand suddenly grabbed my arm. 5 years of feelings were worthless in his eyes. The grip was strong, carrying an undeniable forcefulness. In front of all the guests, Ethan Sterling admitted to using me and then turned to propose to the one he truly loved, Sophia Bellwether. I turned around and met a pair of eyes as deep as the night sky. He said, "Olivia, you can leave now." The man was tall, dressed simply in a white shirt and black trousers, yet his aura was so noble it was almost unbelievable. A light, casual sentence, like a feather, yet it shattered my insides. He frowned at me. "Want to die?" I watched him hold Sophia's hand and put on the ring that should have belonged to me. His voice was low, carrying a hint of coldness. "Fine, Ethan, you win." I was startled by him and instinctively struggled. "Who are you? Let me go." I turned and walked away, never looking back. He didn't let go. Instead, he pulled me back, away from the railing. The champagne tower collapsed, crashing to the ground with a clatter, just like my heart at this moment. "I am the owner of this boat." His tone was calm, as if commenting on the nice weather today. "Ethan Sterling rented my boat to throw a party." The surrounding murmurs buzzed, a tangled web of sympathetic, voyeuristic, and disdainful gazes trying to trap me here to death. How could he know Ethan? I straightened my back and walked out step by step. The man seemed to see through my confusion and continued. "Ethan said his girlfriend is terrible with directions and might get lost, so he asked me to keep an eye out. Looks like I found her." I must not cry. Directionally challenged? Crying means losing. Since when did I become directionally challenged? The crowd automatically parted to make a path, and I fled in panic like a defeated soldier. Besides, when did Ethan get to know such a character? Deafening cheers and applause came from behind. I sized him up, then looked again at this extremely luxurious cruise ship. He succeeded. "This ship, is it yours?" I could hardly believe it. With a grand humiliation, he drove back his white moonlight and even took the opportunity to propose. He nodded and gave a number, a Vanderbilt Holdings property, costing about $4.6 billion. Double happiness arrives. A cause for joy and celebration. $4.6 billion? Walking to the edge of the deck, the icy sea breeze stung my cheeks. I gasped in shock. I looked down at the churning black sea beneath my feet, feeling an urge to leap in. Who exactly is this person? The seawater seemed to rise, covering my ankles, cold and piercing. As far as I remember, there isn't such a wealthy figure in Ethan's circle of friends. No, this isn't real seawater. It's the emotion of me about to drown. "Follow me. Ethan is waiting for you." He didn't give me much time to be shocked and turned to lead the way. Memories from 5 years ago flooded into my mind without any warning. I followed him on a whim. It was also on this cruise ship. Passing through the resplendent corridor, he stopped in front of a suite door. At that time, I had just fallen out with my family and lost my financial support. I ran alone to this luxury cruise ship said to cross the Atlantic, supposedly to clear my mind, but in truth, I was despairing. "Next door is Ethan's room." He pointed to the door beside him. Then, I heard it. From next door came uncontrollable gasps and a woman's coquettish laughter, mixed with Ethan's deep voice. "Sophia, baby, slow down." Sophia Bellwether? The woman Ethan cherished deeply, but who went far away? She's back? Still with Ethan? My mind went completely blank in an instant, and it felt as if my blood had frozen. The man who brought me looked at my pale face, a barely noticeable emotion flickering in his eyes before quickly returning to calm. "Want to come in and sit for a while?" He opened the door to his suite. I nodded numbly and walked in like a marionette. The room was large, decorated with understated luxury, and beyond the huge floor-to-ceiling windows stretched an endless sea view. But I couldn't focus on anything. The sounds from next door came intermittently, like a dull knife repeatedly cutting at my chest. Ethan and I have been together for 5 years. In the first 2 years, he still cared about me, although it wasn't as clingy as a passionate couple. The necessary care and companionship were there. In the following 3 years, things became increasingly dull, like a lukewarm glass of plain water. He is busy with Sterling Corp's affairs, often traveling, and growing increasingly distant from me. "Ethan?" It's not that I haven't noticed. I was stunned. I have tried hard. I tried to imitate those fashion magazines, buying sexy dresses, spraying seductive perfume, and appearing casually in front of him when he came home. He just glanced at me lightly and said, "Aren't you hot wearing so much?" or he would simply ignore me and walk straight into the study. Time and time again, my heart, too, gradually grew cold, but I always comforted myself, thinking he was just too busy, that I still mattered to him. After all, we had been together since college. How could so many years of feelings just change overnight? No, it was not until that night 5 years ago. It turned out, he wasn't busy, nor tired, he just didn't love me anymore, or rather, the one he loved was never me. I sat on the sofa, looking out at the sea through the window, tears finally streaming down my face. That man, Noah Vanderbilt, sat quietly across from me, handing me a glass of wine. Amber liquid swayed in the glass. Have a drink, it will make you feel better. I took it and downed it in one gulp. The spicy liquid burned my throat and ignited the long-suppressed grievances and anger within me. How can he be with me and yet be entangled with another woman at the same time? How can he comfortably enjoy my efforts while his heart belongs to someone else? Why do I have to endure all of this? The more I think about it, the angrier I get, and the more I drink. I don't know how many drinks I've had, but I'm completely drunk. The alcohol amplified my courage and resentment. I staggered to my feet and pointed next door. If he can find a woman, so can I. I want to find a male model. I need to find someone more handsome, younger, and with a better figure than Ethan. That'll drive him crazy. I took out my phone, ready to open an app to place an order. Noah Vanderbilt grabbed my hand firmly. Don't be impulsive. He looked at me, his eyes complex. Mind your own business. I shook him off drunkenly. I want to find him, right now. He was silent for a few seconds, then suddenly curled his lips into a playful smile. Looking for a male model? He leaned forward slightly, close to me, his warm breath brushing past my ear. Isn't there one right here? I stared blankly at his handsome face so close to me. Under the light, his features were even more three-dimensional and profound, as if there were stars and seas in his eyes. Indeed, much more handsome than Ethan. You? I squinted to size him up. Are you a male model? He raised an eyebrow and half-jokingly said, a part-time job. A part-time male model? Sophia? A part-time male model who drives a 4.6 billion yacht? My mind was already not clear at the time, and I didn't feel anything was wrong at all. I just feel that if it's handed to you on a silver platter, you shouldn't let it go to waste. Alcohol emboldens the timid. I reached out my hand, imitating the way rich women do in those TV dramas, lifting his chin. How's the skill? The price is negotiable. A deeper smile appeared in Noah Vanderbilt's eyes. He caught my hand and gently kissed it by his lips. You'll know once you try, won't you? His voice was low and sexy, carrying a deadly temptation. I feel like I've been bewitched. In a daze, he suddenly scooped me up horizontally and carried me toward the bedroom. What happened afterward was both natural and utterly chaotic. I only remember his burning warmth, his strong arms, and those eyes that seemed to see right through my soul. And then, the faint, heartbreaking sounds coming from next door. That night was absurd, chaotic, yet carried a thrill of revenge. The next morning, I woke up with a splitting headache. Sunlight streamed through the gaps in the curtains, glaringly bright. The space beside me was empty, but the lingering warmth and the tangled sheets reminded me of everything that happened last night. I scratched my head in frustration. Losing control after drinking is definitely not a good thing. However, that part-time male model really was quite skilled. I sat up and saw a neatly folded set of women's clothes on the bedside table, with a black card next to it. Is this a service fee? I was a bit confused. Are top male models always this thoughtful? They even prepare clothes and kickbacks for clients? I picked up the card, pure black, with no markings, but it looked very expensive. This person is quite generous. I got dressed, thinking about how to get rid of him, although I was the one who took the initiative to set the rules with him last night. After all, he was the one who took advantage. I rummaged through my bag and pulled out my wallet, taking out a stack of cash, roughly a few thousand US dollars. This amount of money might mean nothing to him, a part-time male model who runs a $4.6 billion cruise ship. But this is all the money I have. Holding the money, I walked out of the bedroom, ready to draw a clear line with him. There was no one in the living room. Just as I was wondering, I heard a sound coming from the kitchen. I walked over and saw a middle-aged lady wearing an apron, with a gentle demeanor, making breakfast. When she saw me, she was momentarily stunned, then showed a kind smile. Awake? Come have breakfast. Noah just went out to take a call. Oh, that's the name of that male model. Wait, who is this aunt? A thought flashed through my mind in an instant. Could it be that she is Noah's financial backer? Judging by this auntie's outfit, although low-key, it clearly looks quite valuable, well-maintained, elegant temperament, definitely the style of a wealthy woman. So, this cruise ship actually belongs to this wealthy woman? Noah is the kept man she supports? I instantly felt like an intruder trespassing on someone else's territory, my toes awkwardly digging into the ground. Hello, Auntie. I forced a stiff smile. I'll be going now. Going where? Auntie warmly grabbed me. Have some breakfast before you leave. You must be Olivia, right? Noah has mentioned you to me. Did Noah mention me to her? Mention what? That he picked up a drunk female client last night? Until today, I felt even more awkward. Auntie, don't call me Auntie, just call me Mrs. Vanderbilt. She smiled and patted my hand. I am Noah's mother. I felt as if a thunderbolt had struck my head. Mom, he is her son? So, this $4.6 billion yacht really belongs to him? It's not rented, nor was it a gift from a wealthy woman? Mrs. Vanderbilt looked at my stunned expression, seemed to understand something, and her smile grew even gentler. This child has been stubborn since he was little. She sighed and began to tell me a story. She said Noah got seasick from a young age, and to overcome it, he locked himself on this ship and drifted for half a year. She said this cruise ship was a birthday gift she gave Noah for his 25th birthday. She said Noah actually knew me very early on, even earlier than Ethan. He has been silently watching over me. 5 years ago, Ethan did ask him to keep an eye on me, but Ethan didn't know that Noah had already noticed I was not feeling right. Stopping me from jumping into the sea and taking me back to the room were not Ethan's arrangements, but Noah's own decisions. This child is deep-minded, keeping everything in his heart, Mrs. Vanderbilt said, looking into my eyes with meaning. But his feelings for you are real. My heart felt as if it had been struck hard by something. So, that's how it is? Why should I? That man who seemed cold and distant. Actually, I don't know how to describe the feelings in my heart at this moment. Shock, doubt, and a hint of inexplicable emotion. At that moment, Noah came back after finishing his call. Seeing me chatting happily with his mother, he raised an eyebrow, said nothing, and naturally sat down to eat breakfast. The atmosphere became somewhat subtle for a moment. I ate breakfast without tasting it and fled in panic. Back in the hotel room I had booked, I collapsed on the bed, my mind in a complete mess. Ethan's betrayal, Noah's deep affection, Mrs. Vanderbilt's words. There's too much information. I need some time to digest it. After calming down, the first thing I thought was that I had misunderstood Noah. He is not some male model, let alone a kept man. He is a true top-tier tycoon, the heir to Vanderbilt Holdings. Moreover, he might have liked me for a long time. Thinking about what I did to him and the things I said after getting drunk last night. Oh my God, I just want to find a hole to crawl into. I even wanted to send him away with a few $1,000s. He even criticized his skills. Awkward, so awkward. No, I have to go apologize. I must go immediately. I sprang out of bed and rushed back to the cruise ship as fast as I could. Finding Noah's suite, I took a deep breath and knocked on the door. Noah himself opened the door. He changed into casual clothes, looking younger and more handsome. Seeing it was me, he didn't seem surprised. Something wrong? He leaned against the doorframe, his tone indifferent. I'm here to apologize. I mustered up the courage and blurted out. I'm sorry, I drank too much last night and mistook you for that kind of person, said some nonsense, and did things I shouldn't have. I'm really sorry. Also, about those few $1,000, please don't take it to heart. I wasn't thinking clearly at the time. I spoke quickly and anxiously, my cheeks burning hot. Noah listened quietly, a faint, ambiguous smile playing at the corners of his mouth. When I finished speaking, he slowly said, I accept your apology. However, he shifted his tone. What happened last night caused me great mental distress and damage to my reputation. Huh? And, he continued, his expression becoming somewhat melancholic. Vanderbilt Holdings has recently run into some trouble. The cash flow is tight. I might be going bankrupt. Go bankrupt? I was dumbfounded once again. Yesterday, you were a shipowner worth $4.6 billion, and today you're going bankrupt? Isn't this happening way too fast? So, Noah looked at me with a sincere gaze and said, I can't hold you accountable for the losses you caused me last night, at least for now, but I happen to need a housekeeper to clean and serve tea here. You see, he paused, then added, room and board included, and the salary. Let's just count it as the service fee you owe me from last night. Is this plot development a bit off? A top-tier tycoon goes bankrupt, and they want me, the culprit, to stay on as a nanny to pay off the debt? Although it sounded ridiculous, looking at Noah's handsome face, written all over with downfall and helplessness, I somehow, inexplicably nodded. Maybe it was guilt playing tricks on me, or maybe I was fooled by the fleeting glint of cunning in his eyes. In short, I inexplicably ended up staying in Noah Vanderbilt's bankrupt mansion, which was actually still that luxury yacht, just called something else, and began my working off debt life. The days were chaotic and hectic, yet filled with a strange kind of warmth. Noah Vanderbilt, this bankrupt rich man, was ruthless when it came to bossing people around. One moment he wanted hand-ground coffee, the next he demanded desserts from a specific restaurant, and then he would complain that the rooms I cleaned weren't spotless enough. I am exhausted every day like a dog, cursing him 10,000 times in my heart, but he always unintentionally shows some tenderness and thoughtfulness. For example, when I collapse on the sofa from exhaustion and fall asleep, he quietly covers me with a blanket. For example, when I feel down thinking about Ethan, he awkwardly tells bad jokes to cheer me up. For example, when I accidentally cut my hand while chopping vegetables, he nervously helps me treat the wound, yet still complains about my clumsiness. Our way of getting along is like a pair of playful rivals. We bicker and annoy each other, yet unknowingly, some ambiguous feelings begin to grow. I know this is very dangerous. I was just left battered and bruised, and I shouldn't have fallen for someone else so quickly, especially since this person is a mysterious, inscrutable bankrupt tycoon. But I can't control my heart. Noah Vanderbilt is like a huge magnetic field, pulling me in tightly. Just when I thought life would continue on quietly, Ethan Sterling showed up at my door. That day, I was preparing afternoon tea for Noah when I heard Ethan's voice coming from the living room. How did he find this place? I instinctively wanted to hide, but Noah grabbed my hand. He gave me a reassuring look, signaling me to stay in the kitchen and not move. I hid behind the door, straining to hear the sounds outside. I heard Ethan speak to Noah in a familiar yet somewhat flattering tone. Noah, thanks to your help this time. That woman Sophia really does play the hard-to-get game. Noah's voice was emotionless. So, the proposal was successful? Of course, Ethan said proudly. She agreed on the spot. She's just a spoiled young lady. A little trickery was all it took. A shock ran through my heart. Trickery? Isn't he madly in love with Sophia? You went to such great lengths to bring her back, just to marry her? Noah asked. Ethan chuckled lightly, a hint of disdain in his tone. Marry? No way. I just need the Bellwether family's support to secure my position at Sterling Corp. Once I have full control of the company, she won't be of any use. I felt a chill run through my entire body. So, even with Sophia, he was just using her. Does this man even have a heart? So how do you plan to deal with Olivia? Noah's voice remained calm. Mentioning me, Ethan's tone grew a bit impatient. That woman? Stupid to death, yet utterly devoted to me. Once I settle things on my end, just give her some benefits, and won't she obediently come back to me? He paused, then added, after all, besides me, who else would want her? A woman abandoned in public. Hearing this, I could no longer hold back. I suddenly pushed open the kitchen door and rushed out. Ethan saw me and was clearly stunned for a moment. Then a flicker of panic flashed in his eyes, but he quickly regained his composure. Olivia? What are you doing here? He frowned, his tone tinged with a hint of reproach. I've been looking for you for a long time. Why did you come to Noah? Does he still want to pretend? Still want to deceive me like I'm a fool? Looking at his hypocritical face, I just felt disgusted. Ethan Sterling, I said clearly, word by word. I heard everything. Olivia, let me explain. No need. I interrupted him, my voice as cold as ice. From the moment you proposed to Sophia in public, we were already over. Now, I'm even more grateful to have gotten out early. I walked over to Noah and took the initiative to link my arm with his. Noah stiffened for a moment, then turned his hand around to hold mine, their fingers interlacing tightly. I met Ethan's shocked and incredulous gaze, lifted my chin, and said firmly, I am Noah's now. Please don't come to disturb our lives anymore. Ethan's face changed from green to white, then from white to red. He stared fixedly at our clasped hands, his eyes filled with humiliation, anger, and a trace of panic and pain I had never seen before. Olivia, you. He seemed to want to say something, but in the end, he just gritted his teeth and turned away in embarrassment. Watching Ethan flee in panic, I felt no trace of vengeful satisfaction, only a profound sense of relief and liberation. Goodbye, Ethan Sterling. Goodbye to my foolish and humble 5 years. From now on, I will live for myself. After Ethan left, the living room fell into complete silence. Only then did I realize that I was still holding on to Noah's arm, my hand tightly grasped by him. My cheeks felt a little warm, and I wanted to pull my hand back, but Noah held on even tighter. He turned his head and looked at me deeply, a complex mix of emotions swirling in his eyes. What you just said? His voice was a little hoarse. Was it serious? I looked into his eyes, seeing a mix of probing, anticipation, and a subtle trace of nervousness. Just now, to annoy Ethan, I spoke with absolute certainty, but now, facing Noah's gaze, I feel a bit hesitant. Am I really ready to start a new relationship? Moreover, the other person is Noah Vanderbilt, a man I can't read at all. It seemed as if he saw through my hesitation, and the light in Noah's eyes dimmed slightly. He let go of my hand, his tone returning to its usual calm. Sorry, forget I asked. Looking at his lonely profile, my heart suddenly felt like it had been pricked by a needle. I can't back down anymore. I have already missed once. I can't miss a second time. I'm serious. I mustered up the courage and said loudly. Noah suddenly turned to look at me, his eyes reigniting with light. I met his gaze and firmly repeated. I said, I'm serious, Noah Vanderbilt. I want to give us a try. After saying this, my face was so red it felt like it was about to bleed. Noah? Noah stared at me in a daze, and after a few seconds, he suddenly let out a low laugh. The laughter grew louder, filled with joy and relief. He stepped forward and pulled me into his arms. His embrace was warm and strong, carrying a reassuring aura. Olivia, he whispered in my ear, his voice trembling slightly. Do you know how long I've been waiting to hear those words? My heart was completely conquered. Ethan Sterling's crematorium came faster and more fiercely than I had imagined. Ever since that day when I rejected him face to face and he saw me with Noah, he completely lost control. He started calling me frantically and sending messages. At first, it was questioning, anger, and unwillingness to accept it. Olivia, how dare you betray me? What kind of spell did that Noah Vanderbilt cast on you? Have you been involved with him all along? Later, his tone began to soften, turning into pleading and remorse. Olivia, I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have used you or hurt you. Come back to me, will you? I can give you everything you want. What is Sterling Corp? And what is Sophia Bellwether? I only want you. He even began to use the power of Sterling Corp to try to suppress Vanderbilt Holdings. What kind of scale does Vanderbilt Holdings have? Ethan's little tricks were seen by Noah as nothing more than child's play. Noah didn't even have to intervene personally. His team easily resolved all the crises and even gave Sterling Corp a little lesson. Ethan's business empire was on the verge of collapse. He grew increasingly haggard and more insane. He no longer cared about appearances and started blocking me at the cruise terminal. Once, he even ignored the security guard's attempts to stop him, rushed onto the cruise ship, knelt before me, and wept bitterly in repentance. Olivia, I was wrong. I really was wrong. The one I love is you. It's always been you. Please, give me one more chance. He grabbed my pant leg like a madman who had lost his mind. The surrounding crew members and bodyguards were all stunned. The once lofty and spirited Ethan Sterling now looked like a defeated dog, humbled to the dust. There wasn't a ripple in my heart. It's not that I don't hate anymore, but I just don't care. Ethan Sterling. I pulled my trouser leg free from his grasp and looked down at him. It's too late. The moment you chose to use me and humiliate me in public, we were completely over. Boom. The way you are now. It's not because you love me, but because you are unwilling to accept it, because you have lost control. Your love is too cheap. I can't afford it. After saying that, I didn't look at him again and turned to leave. Behind me came his desperate screams and cries. Noah appeared by my side at some unknown moment and gently put his arm around my shoulder. It's all in the past now, he said softly. I leaned into his embrace and nodded. It was still that luxury cruise ship worth $4.6 billion. Still the same moonlit deck. Noah Vanderbilt knelt on one knee, holding a delicately designed ring. No grand ceremony, no flashing lights, no onlooking guests. I was completely dumbfounded. Just the two of us, and the boundless starry sea. Olivia Vance. He looked up, his gaze gentle and focused, like starlight containing the entire universe. 5 years ago, here, when I first saw you, my heart lost control. At that time, you stood by the railing, like a lost lamb, fragile yet stubborn. I told myself I must protect you. Later, watching you with Ethan, seeing you smile for him, cry for him, my heart ached as if it was being torn apart. But I could only silently guard you, afraid to get close. Until that day, you got drunk and burst into my world, like a light illuminating the darkness I had long endured. I know you have experienced betrayal and hurt, and your heart needs time to heal. I am willing to wait. I have waited for 10 years, from silently watching to cautiously approaching, and then to having you. Now, I want to spend the rest of my life continuing to protect you and love you. He raised the ring, his voice carrying a trace of barely noticeable nervousness. Olivia, will you marry me? Let me be the only light in your life. Tears slipped down without any warning, not sadness, but moved, and happiness. I looked at the man before me, the one who appeared at my most vulnerable moment, silently protected me, healed me, and gave me a new life. I nodded firmly, my voice choked with emotion. I do. Noah's eyes were red-rimmed as he carefully slipped the ring onto my ring finger. The size was just right, as if tailor-made. He stood up and held me tightly, as if he wanted to blend me into his very bones and blood. The sea breeze gently brushed by, the starlight dazzling. I know, this time, I did not choose wrong. My happiness is just beginning.